Like, what can I do to help? Is there a GoFundMe?
The number one killer of men in between 18 and 45 is suicide. Not war, not road accidents, not cancer, not heart disease. No, it's through suicide.
Hey everyone, welcome to Between the Sundays podcast. And I'm your host, Dale Satrum, but I am not alone in all of this. I have two great co-hosts, Katie Jones.
Katie Jones, what's up?
Woohoo!
And
Why do you forget your name?
paused.
I did.
We're saying
does that
our
to
own
me.
names today.
And Jeremy Lara.
Let's go!
We're so glad you guys are
yeah,
watching
we
and
are.
listening.
Love that.
And hey, this is where we talk about life and following Jesus between the messy part of life, between the Sundays. All right.
Yes.
Yep.
Sunday's not messy most of the time, but man, all the rest of the week certainly can be. So
Yeah.
how do we put this thing into real life?
Absolutely.
The application, right? The application. That's where it gets messy. It's easy to believe. It's harder to do.
Mm.
Yes.
So here's where we try to
Amen.
explain the doing and how do we follow Jesus. So
Heck yeah.
If this is your first time listening, you guys are in for a treat because we have great personality on this show. We've got a range of generations in here.
Yeah.
So we have all sorts of wisdom and, so much smartness coming your way.
yeah.
But we do 3 different episodes a week for you guys. Obviously, if you want to get more PD time, he has his Monday Momentums, which are awesome.
don't miss Monday Momentum. Come
Yes.
on.
Yes.
Great way to start your week. Those are at 5:30 p.m.
Mhm.
Mondays,
Yeah,
right, Jeremy?
5:30.
Sweet, sweet. And then we've got our current events where we kind of talk about what's going on, what is everybody talking about, and how can we relate the Bible to these
Yeah.
world events and social issues and all the things. And then our last one is the Q&A, and that's where we love to hear from you guys. We love to hear from you about all the things. So if you have even just a personal situation and you're like, I really want some advice on this, we always protect your info. We don't see who these come from when you email us at bspodcast@foothillsonline.com. So just think of this is your spot right here between me and Jeremy.
Heck yeah.
You're sitting in the room with us.
we can get a pillow for you and everything.
Yeah,
get a
there you
pillow.
go.
A couple right there. So.
Yeah, but you guys are the lifeblood of what we do, and
Yeah.
we are on a push to 1,000 plus. We
Mhm.
cannot do it without you guys, so please help us by sharing and throwing us in your group chat.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, but it is current events today.
Current events.
And we kind of took a little breather because we were like, you know what? Let's talk about some things that are in current events as far as a category,
Yeah.
but they're not maybe like political or anything like that. So we do have a pretty big topic today we're going to brace. I'm excited to hear from you guys because
Yeah.
this is definitely more for the men out there.
Hmm.
I guess we're leaving you out of this one, Katie.
Yep,
Yeah,
I'll
sorry
just
about
be
that.
a listener, bystander.
It's a dude
here.
topic.
Yeah, it is a dude topic. What are we talking about, Jeremy?
We're talking about male loneliness.
Yep.
Male loneliness.
Yes. So I'm going to open up with a video, actually,
Yeah.
before we start talking about this. So would love to get your guys' opinion on this
I
one.
don't think I see this video.
Oh,
Is
oh
it
yeah,
somebody
this
crying?
is on the
or
fly.
is it?
Is it going to be a dude crying? Because I'm not going to
So,
watch it if it's a dude crying.
So if you are just listening, the beginning is a woman crying, kind of making fun of men, and she's fake crying, and she's saying how they thought we'd react to the news of the male loneliness epidemic, and she's pretending to cry, and this guy is responding to it. So just to give you guys
Ooh,
some
he's
Oh,
about to
boy.
get heated.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and play that for you guys.
Let's do it.
Like, what can I do to help? Is there a GoFundMe?
The number one killer of men in between 18 and 45 is suicide. Not war, not road accidents, not cancer, not heart disease. No, it's through suicide. The main reason that so many men are killing themselves at such a high rate is because we've always been taught that we're not allowed to reach out to other people, that we're not allowed to unload our emotions, that it is shameful to be a burden on somebody else. And I know this because I am that person. I have never tried to gain help from anybody else because I have always thought that if I rely on somebody else to fix my problems, then what kind of man am I? How could I ever provide? How could I ever lead other people? How could I be somebody that people could depend on? And I only know that this is a pointless thought exercise now because I am in therapy and I'm finally dealing with all of these issues. But I'm lucky. Most aren't. So I'm glad you decided to come on social media. Try and gain some kudos, some imaginary points. Because let's be honest, it's not just men that are lonely and are trying to end their lives. It's women too. And the main reason is because of what I'm talking to you on right now. We've decided to put virtual connections over what actually matters. Proper physical connections with one another.
Yeah, video. They gave that girl like 2 seconds. He was like, all right, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I thought they were going to go back and forth. And
I
I
know.
had to listen to her fake cry for a while. So that was kind of good. She was short. That's
yeah,
good.
he cut it
Yeah.
out pretty quickly.
Oh my.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Video.
Well,
What he's saying is true. It's truth. And so I think the important thing that he says at the end is that both men and women struggle with this as well. And so even though I know this is a topic of male loneliness, both people will struggle with loneliness in their own different ways too. So
yeah, I appreciate you bringing that out. I mean, I think that's true. Before we might focus on the dudes today, since that was the topic. But let's face it, I think we have a loneliness epidemic in our culture that transcends both genders. It's not gender specific, and there's plenty of data out there just in terms of people's overall mental health and loneliness and whatnot. So, and I think there's lots of factors to that affects both genders. I think there are some gender specific facts that are specific to men. Maybe we can touch bases on some of that. You know, he brought up one of the things that I think is the symptoms of loneliness that affects both. He talks about devices, where you know we connect virtually instead of face to face, instead of real human contact, real face to face, real, you know, and sometimes even physical contact. I mean, there's something to be said about appropriate physical friendship contact. I mean, there's all kinds of studies on terms of physical touch. Okay, that how healthy it is and what it does to you neurologically. The chemicals that it releases. I mean, we are designed for these kinds of things. We are designed for connection. We're designed to connect. We're designed to touch. We're designed for. I mean, so you know, I know I'm one of the rare pastors that hugs people because this day and age, you know, oh, you can't hug anybody, and it's just like we're made for it. We're designed for it. You know, so I always tell people, I stand at a certain door. You want a hug? You come through here.
Yeah.
I will hug you. Right.
Yeah.
So-
so true.
yeah.
And some people come through, and it's the only hug they get all week because I say it. Single, widowed ladies, they'll come through, and I got to come and get my hug. It's the only hug I get all week.
Wow.
All right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so loneliness is across the board.
Yeah, it is. But just to pull in some stats for us to talk about, because we were focusing on men. Men account for 80% of all suicides in the U.S., and it is one of the leading causes for death for men under 45. So that's pretty significant. I didn't realize that. That kind of hit me. So, and I wish I would have dug a little deeper to see like the years as far as like when did this start, but I almost imagine it
Pretty recent.
came with the boom of technology.
Yeah.
I would think like, but I could be wrong on that. So, you know, don't hold that against me.
Technology, COVID, you know, there's a lot of things that isolated people,
Yeah.
you know, that currently isolated. I think, you know, COVID, you know, exacerbated the problem. Also, there's another statistic, and it's not in here, you know, that men also typically use more lethal methods for suicide than women do. That's actually there's actually research on this. So men tend to use things like guns, and women tend okay, all generalities here, tend to use more things like, you know, pills and whatnot. So also the problem is that when men decide to cross that line, they tend to use things where you ain't coming back from it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
terrible statistic though.
Yeah,
It is
so
horrible.
sad, but so important for us to be aware of. So this one actually does date the year up from the 1990s. This was an American Perspective survey. 15% of men report having zero close friends. So that's up from the 90s, they're saying, which makes sense kind of along the lines of what you just said, Jeremy. So young men are less likely than young women to have emotional confidence. So, yeah, from your guys' perspective, why do you guys, I know we kind of talked about like, yep, we're virtually connecting, but just to get into the unique perspective of male loneliness, what are some other factors that maybe women aren't aware of that could be causing these?
I don't know. Go for it.
Go for it.
I can say something after. So
Yeah, some of these are generalities. It depends on how people were raised. And yes, a lot of men were raised to not share their feelings, and men typically tend to be doers anyway. We tend to connect through doing. I always say men typically connect through shoulder to shoulder versus face to face. Okay, that's typical.
Doing something together.
Yes,
not
that's sometimes when you talk to
coffee.
marriage. In a marriage, it's like go out and do something with your husband. Your man will typically talk to you more if you're doing something together than sitting on the couch, looking at each other.
Right.
That's just now younger generations might be different, but so I'll just talk about my generation. Guys don't typically sit on a couch, turn in, face to face, look at each other deeply in the
Wrap up
eyes,
in a blanket.
and talk to each other.
Cuddle,
They don't do that.
Right.
In fact, again, my generation, other guys that they're listening to it might relate to this. You look at a guy face to face, too long. It's like, you want something? Bring it.
Yeah,
I mean, so that's not culturally normal. All right, women tend to bond face to face. Men bond shoulder to shoulder. Guys like to have buddies that they go do things with. Not let's get together, have a cup of coffee, and talk.
Yeah.
That's not You can go down that road, but that's not normal. I've got buddies that I just want to go have fun with. Okay, and I got guys that I can have other conversations with, but I need just guys connect through activity.
Yeah.
So
What about you, Jeremy? What do you like? What do you think about when you see?
Oh,
this
100%
stuff?
true. I feel like my generation's a little bit different in that. So
I know
when we would, hang out, sometimes we would just sit on the couch, just like watch a movie and just sit. Just like we're just spending time with each other. But then, that's not every guy. Other guys that I've spent time with, it's like we got to do something, because it's not like that type of relationship. So it's like let's go, golfing, or let's work on this project, or let's do this or do that or do that. And so, it's not like girls do, sometimes Emily would be like, go hang out with like this person. I'm like, we won't hang out the same way you hang out with your girls. We're not making little wine charms and then little glitter things. And I'm like, we don't find value in that at all. And that's just not our thing. It's either we go eat or we do some sort of sport activity. That's usually how it is. And so there's not a whole lot for guys to do in general, or else it feels like a little date,
And I've found that a lot of like men my age, your age, are now like they play online together.
Oh yeah, I do that to connect with all my guys.
That's a big thing, and my
Yeah.
husband will be like, "It is how we do connect on we
Mhm.
connect online." I'm like, "That's so weird to me," but
true,
we're
and
wired different.
that is a form of connection. And let's not disregard that, but at the same time, I think it's one more piece of evidence of you can use that as a substitute to not connect face to face.
Yeah.
And I get everybody's busy, and I think there is something lost in just human interaction, face to face interaction. I mean, how many people? And again, not picking on generations here, but what I see sometimes in younger generations is, and I see it all the time. I see it when I travel. I see it in different cultures. Is that the younger generation struggles making eye contact? They struggle talking to strangers. They struggle sometimes. I get on an elevator and there's somebody younger, and Lisa and I are just friendly people.
Yeah.
Okay, and all of a sudden you're on an elevator and somebody's a foot from you. Okay, to look at them and smile and say hi. All right. I cannot tell you how many people will not respond back to us at all. Not at all. In an
Fair.
elevator.
Yeah. Fair.
Crazy.
And I was like, I got nothing for that. Okay, my generation just can't understand that. There's just basic politeness. We treat each other with respect. We acknowledge that somebody is in front of you. I hold a door open for people in a restaurant or a door. They walk right through. You don't even say thank you.
You know what?
And that stuff's just weird to me.
As
I'm
a
like,
parent, I can tell you right now, it starts when they're young too. As soon as you're that parent, they're just shy. No, they lean in. Your kids lean into what you speak over them. So my kids, even if I have a kid that's a little tends to be a little more shy, I say, "Oh no, Pastor Dale was talking to you. Did you say hi?" Like we make sure we are on our kids about that. If you're not on your kids about that, it doesn't come naturally a lot of times.
Or the opposite way of telling kids to not stare at people. Then they're gonna grow up Like this one eventually, not staring at people. And so when I got older, I was like, I gotta look at you when you're talking,
That's a good point because I tell
But-
my kid he'll stare and point. So
Mhm.
we gotta.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like a
so-
balance.
By the
It's a
balance, yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of reasons for male loneliness. I think there's other cultural reasons that have been fairly recent. I think that there's a lot of what I don't hear nearly as much, but there was a season where all we heard about was toxic masculinity.
Mm.
And so I think that there's a lot of men who are they don't know what's appropriate. Being a man. Where do they connect? I mean, if masculinity is toxic and not acceptable, so all of that kind of environment makes you isolate.
Mhm.
It makes you isolate. Is where I'm going with that.
Absolutely.
So you're not okay. You're not acceptable as you are. You should be more like a woman or something else. I'm not so sure what they ever defined a man was supposed to be, but whatever it is, you're not. That's not okay.
Yeah.
Well, and let me just throw the men a bone too and say the feminist movement, for all its purposes, sure, maybe there's some good aspects to it, but as a whole, I feel like when you have that feminist movement, we can do anything a man can do. We don't need men, and we can be just like men. It actually completely disintegrates your whole argument trying to make women important. Like, we are not like men. So therefore, like you're robbing us of all the things we are good at naturally. And of course, that's a blanket statement. There's some women and men that are good at different things, and that's totally okay. But typically, women actually like men to be protectors. So I feel like we're seeing this wave of women in their 40s with no kids that picked the career, but now they're kind of mad about it. Well, why can't I just find a man that can take care? Well, look at how you've been bashing on men the last 20 years. Like, what man in his right mind wants to go after that kind of a woman? I'm sorry, like, not to be rude, but I like, if I was a man, I would be going for women that want what I have to offer, what I am naturally good at. I don't want to be berated and be down.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
I'm trying to be good over here.
Yeah.
Let her rip.
Let her rip. Be spicy a little bit. So.
Well, I mean, you were picking on your own gender, so I was just going to jump on board with that. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. It's just, as you're sitting there talking and you talk about, now these women are mad because you can't find a husband, and I'm sitting here thinking, you reap what you sow.
Yes.
It's a principle of life. I mean, you harvest what you plant. And so you've planted all this negativity. What do you expect you're going to get?
Right.
Mhm.
You don't get a positive result from negativity. And yet now you're all surprised you don't get a positive result when you've been negative towards a gender. I mean, so it works both ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just God set the world to work up a certain way. And he says, you can't mock me. This is what's going to happen. So, anyway, we digress.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a big male loneliness. I mean, I feel like there's so many. It's like a spider web. There's so many things that
There's so many
are
things.
Yeah.
Okay.
connected to this.
I think the church is also guilty of it too. I think the church can be guilty of creating male loneliness.
Yeah.
Explain that.
How so?
Yep.
Well, I think that we want men to come to church, right? I think sometimes we have feminized Christianity. I think well, what do you mean by that? Listen, if we haven't feminized Christianity, why are more women going to church than men? It's obviously more attractive to women than men, so we're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
So we present it in a way that dudes don't relate to. If men connect through activity, they connect shoulder to shoulder, and yet we're invited into Bible studies all the time. Come on, sit in a Bible study and look face to face and share all your feelings. Well, what dude wants to go do that?
Yeah.
And then we guilt and shame them because they don't want to do it. And I just it's not okay. And then we're gonna talk about then we give definitions of what spiritual leadership looks like.
Mhm.
Here's another one of my little soapboxes. What is spiritual leadership? And then we give them a list of spiritual behaviors that no man can live up to.
Like
And-
what?
Oh,
Give some
okay.
examples.
I mean, you got to be a spiritual leader in your house, whatever that means.
Mhm.
Okay, what does that even mean? Where is that command in the Bible? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, but talks about the man is the head, and then it describes what that means. Why do we spiritual leadership, and then we define it? You have to pray with your family. You have to read the Bible with your family. You're going to bring your church, or your family to church. All fine and good things. Okay, and you're going to be the spiritual driver of your family. Okay, we put all of this responsibility on these men, and they look at that and they go, I can't do that. You're basically asking them to be a pastor.
Hmm.
And it's like, I can't, I don't know the Bible. I mean, so we create this expectation. Last time I checked the Bible, it tells men to love their wives as Christ loved the church. Oh, well, wait a minute. Spiritual leadership is learning how to love your wife, not having massive Bible knowledge. I'll be darned. Boy, that would change the definitions. I mean, I think we need to redefine what spiritual leadership looks like. It's being a good man. I think a lot of men want to be a good man. Well, let's show them how to be a good man. They might actually like to do that. In fact, they want to be a good man.
Yeah.
Let's show them what that looks like. Well, they should be instructing their family. The Bible says, yes, it says that you don't provoke your children to anger. Be a good parent.
Yeah.
And then it says you bring them up in the instruction of the Lord. What does that mean? What, you're going to throw the Bible at them? You're going to have daily devotions? Once again, we fall in love with content, thinking that it changes lives. You're going to bring somebody up in the instruction. You model it. You have spiritual conversations. That's how people learn. Even when we have staff devos, do I teach the whole time or do we have conversations? What's the best way to learn?
Yeah.
The conversations, the dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, let's teach men how to do that, shoulder to shoulder with their kids. As they're doing things, have spiritual conversations. That had the greatest impact on my kids. My kids, I never did devotions with my kids. The pastor never did devotions. Nope, I didn't. But we had spiritual conversations all the time. Stress, money, anxiety, friends, okay, all the temptations of life. We had, all right, how do we put our faith in real life? Way more impacting. Okay, way more impacting. Not doing devos with your daily devotion times which means you're going to read the Bible to them. And then what? Then your kids got to go to school the next day, have all kinds of temptation, have all kinds of friends posting crap about them on social media. That's where their Christianity has to make sense. And dads care about that.
Yeah.
Okay? But figuring out how to do a Bible study with their teenage kids, they just had that glossy look like, what am I supposed to do? Come on, let's redefine what spiritual leadership looks like.
I think you bring up a good point. I think nowadays society and the church will speak into a man and tell them this is like the formula for what like the perfect man looks like. Like this is the structure for it. And while there's valuable things of leading and being strong and protective, each man is also so different that I think most men just want to be spoken into about like, hey, you're doing this really great. Or the other second thing is, hey, I believe in you to do this. And not a lot of men hear those two things. They don't feel like they're good enough, or they don't feel like anyone's believing in them. And they might be working hard. They might be successful in some areas, but no one's seen that in their life. So they go through life and then they get to the point where it's like, no one's seeing what I'm doing. And a lot of these men are like, okay, I think I'm going to commit suicide because I've never gotten encouragement in that time. And that time is grinding. Sometimes as a man, you just grind it out and you just work hard for your family, for your wife, or for, eventually for kids and stuff like that. But no one checks up sometimes,
And
is what I've
sometimes
seen.
you're right. And this is where the generations, I think, are important. Where somehow we've got to have the generational connections where the older guys see the younger guys and go, you're doing a good job. Yes, we should get that affirmation from our wives and whatnot, but sometimes I think it's difficult for wives to give their men affirmation when they have a definition that comes from the church that's unrealistic. My husband's not a spiritual leader. Well, maybe not by that definition. Is he a good man? Is he loving you? Is he learning to love you?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the whole affirmation, when you're seen, it actually inspires you to get better.
Yeah.
It inspires you to grow and change. And so yeah, I think that there's a lot of guys out there that yeah, they're losing hope, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Losing hope.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm sorry. I don't know if we answered this one, but I would be really curious what you guys think. Why are men less likely to have close friendships now than 30 years ago? What do you guys think are those factors?
We talked a little bit about it. The issue with technology.
Digital, that's
I
what you
think
guys
digital
think it is?
has probably changed a lot. I mean, you've seen friendships.
Yes, I have seen a lot of changes.
You personally probably seen the way that you've interacted with your friendships 30 years ago to now. It's like sometimes you might want to text them or like call them. Obviously, I know there was phones back then.
Yes, there were phones back then. Thank you.
You had to dial an
So
operator.
But then it's
to
like now
find
you
out
have
that.
new ways of communicating less in person. So what's been your experience?
Well, it is, and those things become substitutes, and it's just easier to send a text, and sometimes that's totally appropriate. Again, my buddy and I, we send texts all the time, but even today, I saw him down here at the church. He was hanging out with the men's group, and I'm walking through, the living room, and I saw him there, and I grabbed him and gave him a hug, and I go, dude, we got to get together. We got to go do something.
Yeah.
Okay? And and again, I didn't say I want to get together and talk. Oh, let's go do something.
Yeah.
Let's go hang, man. Let's and then we started talking about things that we like to do, the fishing, the river levels, what's going on, and of course Lisa's gone to Guatemala for a week, and woo, let's go. It's time for me to go have some fun. So
I love that.
looking to go hang out with my friends and go do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has changed. And like you said, the technology is a wonderful thing, but it can get in the way. I think we just don't understand how important human connection is. And I do think it's part of the loneliness. It's, nothing wrong with the phones, nothing wrong with the social media in terms of it hell has an appropriate place, the gaming, all of that. All right. But again, yeah, that stuff did not exist.
Yeah.
So you literally had to pick up the phone and call your friend because, yes, texting did not exist. You had to have a conversation, and at least you could hear tones of voices. You could, there wasn't FaceTime, there wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
And I love all that technology, but back then you'd call up your friend and go, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm coming over.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, right, and you would do more of that.
Yeah. Fair.
So on this same trail here, so men are having less friendships. Why do you think, is this something that has always been around? It's just hard. Like, why do men struggle to confess weakness? Because that's like when I think of suicide, you're in such a dark place. I imagine the loneliness is just paralyzing. Maybe you haven't told anyone because you don't have these deeper friendships. You don't feel like you can connect. There's something with men where it's just so hard to say, like, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know if this is
I don't know if it's hard. I think sometimes we don't want to put the weight of our struggles on other people.
Yeah.
Especially like our
Really tough.
wives. Like that's something that like I know that, between a wife and a husband, you carry things together. But there's certain things that like I don't want to just keep on putting on her, And so I think sometimes guys can fall into that trap of like, I'm just going to keep it to myself, And so, and if there's no accountability, if there's no voices, that leads to depression, or a lot of guys and women will have affairs in marriages because then they're like, okay, I don't want, so it goes both ways extreme, so,
No, that's a good point. And I mean, that's what that guy said in the video too, is not wanting to be a burden. And I think, there's lots of different people, even women can relate to that too. But
Well, sure.
But you're right. There is something that is in the male culture about.
Well, there is. I think most men in their DNA want to be protectors and providers. I think God put that there. So some people could disagree with that, but whatever. I believe it exists. You're just born with it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that then that translates into what you were saying, Jeremy. It's you don't want to be a burden, or you might share it with your wife, your girlfriend, or whatnot, but then you might share it superficially. They don't know how deep it is, and you didn't realize it was that serious, so you didn't ask more questions. And quite frankly, too, there is something about most men, and again, I know these are generalities, but most men have difficulty putting words to feelings, and that's why they're more action-oriented. And so sometimes to understand your husband, understand your boyfriend, you actually have to look at their actions and try to interpret what feelings are being communicated by their actions. Men are action-oriented, so when your husband is asking you to go do something with you, okay, he's trying to connect with you emotionally. He just doesn't usually know how to say it. He likes being with you. So he's asking you to participate in what he's doing because that's the way he connects. That's all he understands. So it's like, why doesn't he just talk to me? And most guys will talk with you if you go do something with them. So that's just how they typically work.
Yeah.
You know?
So true. Me and Jared's best conversations are always in the car.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. That's a great time for them to talk.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're right. It is like a shoulder to shoulder.
Well, yeah, and guys don't have to look at somebody in the eye when they talk to them. Most women have to turn in and look at each other when they talk. Most guys, when we're doing something together, we look out, sitting shoulder to shoulder, and talk, looking out. We don't turn and look at the other person at all. So we don't even have to make eye contact to connect shoulder to shoulder. I know that's weird sometimes to women. Why is he looking at me? It's just different for a dude. If he's going to turn and look at you, sometimes that just, and keep that look, they can make him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So relax. He's trying to connect.
No, that's good advice. Especially, us as women, I think have a responsibility to do better in this area too. Better at looking for signs, and reaching out to your spouse, your boyfriend, checking in on them and encouraging them. So this is a great conversation. What would it look like to create churches where men are known, challenged, and connected? I know you just kind of talked like less pressure on Bible studies, and
let's redefine.
We've kind of feminized this.
Let's redefine leadership. Let's redefine spiritual leadership. And I actually had a conversation with somebody in the office here just a couple of days ago about this, and we didn't really get to, finish it. But I think that we just so often the church automatically accepts certain things, and no one ever stops and asks why. Why are we doing this? Why are men leaving the church? Why are men not gravitating towards what we're defining as spiritual leadership? Should we even define spiritual leadership like this? Does God even define it like this? I mean, think about this. You think about spiritual leadership just from the terms that you're not a good spiritual leader unless you study the Bible with your family or read the Bible to your family. Really? So my understanding then, for the first 1,600 years of church history, no guy could be a spiritual leader. There wasn't any Bibles. There was no printing press. I mean, how do you do that? What they did was they had spiritual conversations. So sometimes we define things so narrowly that these men just can't relate to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is honestly, I have been on this same page about what you're talking for a while, but there was definitely a time back in the day where I'm like, oh, it bothers me that, I feel like I'm the one but you're absolutely right. I needed to reframe because my husband's incredible in so many areas. I would much rather have a husband that is caring about your feelings and more than willing to yes, of course, pray with you, go to church with you, learn with you, grow with you, but maybe you are the leader in that area. I'd rather have that than someone that is, we're going to read the Bible and then I'm going to treat you like crap later. Or like, I'm not living out any of this faith in real life, you know? So I think we as women have to kind of let go of, you're right, the lens that maybe we've been taught and focus on, okay, but what is he actually doing in our marriage with our kids? Like what is, yes. And how is he living it out?
And we have this secular sacred way of secular. What?
Secular. That's a new word, you guys.
Yes.
If you didn't
Secular.
know.
and sacred. That's what I'm trying to say. Got too worked up. Anyway.
Passion. This is passion.
Yeah, well, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of guys getting dissed on all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and thrown under the bus because they don't fit the church's definition of what a spiritual leader is. So if you have a husband who actually does a good job loving his wife, trying to understand his wife, making his wife and his kids a priority in his family, you know, he does things with them. He takes them on vacations. You know, he prioritizes time together. He shows
Absolutely.
up at their kids' sporting events. He coaches. Okay,
Yep.
why do we make those things not spiritual? Why is that not spiritual?
Yeah.
We are holistic. God created all these pieces and parts, and then what the church ends up doing is we narrowly define things, and then we create this huge divide between this normal good life stuff. Well, that's not spiritual, so that doesn't count. Well, let's just devalue every dude out there then, because they can do these things really good. They like the doing. Maybe we should be teaching guys what the doing looks like, because they're naturally wired to do. Do these things with your family, and it's not always a Bible study doing.
Yeah.
This is how you engage with them. I don't know.
Absolutely. No, you're so right. And the world beats up men enough right now, especially if you're a white Christian man. But the world
True.
is going to beat the men up, and it has been for years now. Why is the church doing it too? So I think this is such a good conversation to have. And actually, I would love to open up the floor, the men. If there are things where you're like, oh, I wish more women knew this, can you send it to us? Like, help the ladies out here. Send it. It's all private. You're not going to get called out. Send it to bspodcast@foothillsonline.com. Just anything that comes to mind. Man, like if women could understand this, or if more people understood this about what men are going through, because if you're thinking it and feeling it, someone else out there is too. So even just sharing that might help another dude. You never know. We'll share
Yes,
it
it
on
will.
the next one.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would love to represent you. Send that thing in, guys. Come on.
Representative.
Yeah,
For sure.
I got you.
Yeah. Man, before we move on to our good news of the episode, do you guys have anything else you want to add to?
You know, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, you know, the question, what would it look like to create churches where men are known, challenged, and connected? I think not going from 0 to 100. I think making it super personal at the beginning. Like if you ask most men to, okay, you need to, you know, spiritually lead your family in this way. You got to spiritually lead your friends this way. You got to spiritually lead the church this way. You got to spiritually lead. It's like, okay, that's a lot. Like all at once. It's like, okay, how can you as a person make one decision as a man to draw yourself closer to God? For me, my one thing right now is I am doing devotionals in the morning visibly so that my wife can see me do them and encourage her to do that. That's just one thing. There's a lot for me to, you know, eventually get to. But I know if I work hard at that and being consistent, then I can move to the next thing consistently. And that's now a routine of my life. But if I added like 50,000 things, I ain't doing that.
It's too much. You
It's
can't
too much.
maintain
That's
it.
great
And
advice.
it's
No.
discouraging.
It is.
You can't measure up. See?
Mhm.
You're right. So that's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
We gotta just remove this shame and these impossible standards, I
Yeah.
guess, from men.
Yeah.
So
Good stuff. Thank
Good
you,
discussion.
gentlemen,
Of
for
course.
sharing.
Thank you, lady.
Okay, well, we'll end this one with a little bit of good news. Record Bible sales, and Gen Z is reversing the Christianity decline. Jeremy, are you Gen Z? Would you be considered
I
Gen Z?
think so. Am I? No.
you're not millennial.
You're not millennial.
No, I am
right?
Gen Z.
Isn't that the next one?
What
I'm
is Gen
millennial.
Z? Let's see.
Oh, he's got even look.
1997 to 2012.
You.
That's-
It is
I'm
you.
in.
Dang.
I'm in. So this is me. This is personal
Yeah,
right
you're
here.
reversing the Christianity decline, because I know in our last episode we kind of talked about the decline. So this generation specifically looks like they're changing some things. So
Heck yeah, we are.
it says among Gen Z men, commitment to Jesus reportedly increased 15 percentage points between 2019 and 2025. Well, I mean, look at all the stuff that happened between 2019 and 2025. That does not surprise me. Indicating that while identity labels may decline, personal commitment can increase. So that was another thing. Your generation, from what I was looking at, was saying like, we don't want to label ourselves as anything, but they're taking more of an interest in like, okay, what was Jesus actually about? There's a difference between nominal identity and active faith. So this is Barna's data. Distinguish between people who identify as Christian and those who have made a personal faith commitment, with younger people showing more fluid patterns between the two categories. So you guys are a little hippy dippy.
Interesting.
But
Thank you for that.
and then it also says church attendance trends are shifting. Some recent research suggests that Gen Z and millennials now show strong weekly church attendance rates, even compared to older generations. So anyways, we were going to talk a little bit about New Age and spirituality, so maybe we'll save that for another episode. But obviously, people are hungry for, only the Lord can give.
Well, don't ask me. It's your generation.
Well,
Why are they going back to church?
Man, there's so many like categories. I would say like singing in music, there's a lot more unique Christian music coming out. You have indie Christian music, you have R&B, you have country. I'm not a big country person, but country Christian music.
Forgive you.
You have thank you. You have new creative worship songs, and so that's just one music. But then you also have Instagram and social medias now. There's a lot of like influencers, which it's a mixed bag. But there's a lot of Christian influencers like speaking out messages from the Bible, like, hey, the word talks about this. So people are curious about that. And then now, obviously you have Bible apps, so that's a little bit more digital, accessible too. In the last 6 years, there's been a lot of political things that stir up, like people keep on using the word Christianity, Lord Jesus, why? Why is it getting brought up? Because you're having a lot of pushback of, like, obviously homosexuality is wrong, but then people are like, why is that? Then you have churches too that are like, that's okay, that's acceptable. So then you have more people reading the word, either to gain knowledge or to twist it as well. So there's a lot to it that I would understand that it's increasing, but I'm almost curious what part of that percentage is people wanting to grow their faith in the Lord and wanting to like be against it. Interesting enough.
Oh, like to go just to pick things out, you mean?
I think so. Also, I'm curious about that as well. But
is it just you think maybe it's a spiritual? They have a spiritual yearning, desire, and yet, of course, there's maybe a rejection of the traditional church model going on.
I think people, my generation, know that there's a spirituality. Yeah. That there is that, like, past generations may have like decided not to move in that direction, but I think now, and some of the spirituality stuff gets really weird in my generation and probably the generation to come. But we understand that it's like present, that, whether it's mythology that people get into or Christianity, Mormonism, but people are like, okay, I'm understanding that it's important for me to have a faith, that it's important for me to stand, for my values, I would say.
I think the good news too is that this generation is a lot more experiential than like looking for the institutional. So we've talked about that before. That's typically your best tool you could possibly use in your Following Jesus toolbox, is to talk about your experience. Like, what has this done for me? Like, how has it changed my life? What kind of peace has it brought? So rather than, the church is this, the church is that,
right?
They're not really looking for that.
Which is what the scripture tells you to do. What's really fascinating is that the Bible doesn't really tell you to share your faith. I'm gonna sound like a heretic again. It really doesn't. I mean, and I think that's why people don't share their faith. Is once again the church has created something that people feel incompetent to do. Well, what do you mean? I mean, I can't answer all the Bible questions. I can't do this. The Bible tells you to share your hope. That's experience. It says, be ready to give an answer to those who ask of you the hope that you have. That's what it tells you to do. It's not telling you to be a Bible answering man. It's not telling you to share your faith. It's telling you to share your hope.
Interesting, yeah.
So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
See? And that's what you said, experiential. So I think sometimes I just think if we just stick with the book and not add stuff to it, I think it gives us a really good way to have impact on our culture.
Yeah.
And it's exciting that people, your age group, they recognize there's a spirituality. I mean, come on, in the first century when the church took off and expanded, every culture was spiritual.
Yeah.
They worshiped all kinds of gods.
Mhm.
Perfect. Christianity is uniquely suited to be
Yeah.
different in that environment.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Mm,
That's some good news.
Yeah.
That's some good news.
good stuff. All right. Anything else
Mm-mm.
you guys
No.
got?
yeah, that's good.
Okay.
You better
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Don't forget to send us your thoughts, questions, bspodcast@foothillsonline.com.
Yeah.
Share the show or else.
Or else she's coming after
Hey,
you.
yo.
There's a
Yeah.
curse. I was just kidding. No, what's the did you ever see, were you on Facebook in time to see the like share Jesus with share this post with 10 people or else you'll be cursed? Did you ever
Don't
see that?
Oh,
Yes,
that
I
was-
saw that stuff.
Or if you
That
don't
was-
like this,
Those
you love
were-
the devil.
yeah.
It
I'm
was
like,
like, oh my gosh.
ridiculous.
We won't do that here, but seriously, you guys, you're part of the team.
Yeah.
Pull your weight, share the show, help us out. We can't wait to see you guys next time.
See you next time.
See you guys.